Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today's going to be a fun video because we're going to be doing a glitter cut crease. So this won't be easy mode makeup because you should master a smoky eye before you even start a cut crease, because you got to know how to blend, right? Blending should be second nature when you do a cut crease, but it's not hard. So we'll say this is intermediate mode makeup. So what I'm going to use is eyeshadow, glitter. I'll show you the colors I'm using. I'm going to be using gold. And this is a pigment. And it's like gold with green reflex in it. I'm not too sure, but it'll be pretty. I'm going to be using, for the pigment, this mixing medium. This is from Kaima Cosmetics. It's a indie brand. I just bought the pigment, so I guess we'll see if we like it. We're supposed to, I just bought this, but we're supposed to be mixing the pigment with this. So we'll see. I used it once before and it was really nice, but I had to work with the pigment. I'm not used to mixing mediums like this quite yet, but it'll be fine. And the most important thing that you're going to need is glitter adhesive. So you're going to use NYX glitter primer. That's like my favorite glitter adhesive. If you want, there are other ones, like I think there's one by Eye Candy, or you can use eyelash glue as long as it dries clear. That's what I used to use, but this one's much more comfortable. All right, so we're going to be using the, I'm going to get as much use as I can out of my Pat McGrath palette. So we're going to use the Pat McGrath Divine Rose palette, and we're going to be using this Dusty Rose shade and this deep purple shade. And then I'm going to go, because for some reason I hate when palettes don't have like a black in it. I feel like every palette should have a black in it, but that's just because I don't want to switch to other palettes. But we're going to switch to other palettes. So I'm going to use this Ace Beauté palette, and I'm just using it for the black that's in there. First things first, you want to put your colors on your lid before you cut your crease. So I'm going to take that lighter rose color. I'm going to pop that all in my crease. And I'm using a bigger blending brush. Right, so once you have applied your color, I like to go in with a smaller blending brush, something a little bit smaller so we can get into the crease a little better. And I'm going to go in with that dark purple shade. And remember, if you want the colors to merge together, you're going to do the tap technique with your blending brush and let your brush do all the work. That way it can look like a gradient instead of like muddy. Remember, back and forth is to diffuse and tapping is to blend the colors together. And let's do the same thing to the bottom. Dusty Rose and then that darker purple. And it's probably smarter for you to use a smaller blending brush on the bottom so it doesn't feel too uncomfortable, but just for the sake of time, I'm going to use my big one. All right, so I popped a black eyeliner on my waterline, and we're going to add the black into the top now. So with an even smaller brush, like a pencil brush, you're going to dip into your black, and you're going to pop that in your crease below the purple shadow. And this is just giving a tint so that it gives you more dimension in your eye. And it looks crazy right now, but it'll look better. So now we're going to take that same brush we used with the dark purple. I dipped it in a little more dark purple, and we're going to, remember, back and forth is to diffuse. We're going to diffuse that black. And take your time blending, because black is dark, so don't be impatient. Just blend for a while if you have to until you get the color that you want. All right, so I'm going to use some concealer to cut my crease. My favorite concealer for priming my lids and cutting my crease and all that, the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. So we're going to use the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. And I'm using a lighter shade so my lid can, I guess the color can pop a little bit more, even though it doesn't really matter. We're going to cover it up anyway. But I'm using a lighter shade concealer. I was going to tell you the color, but it doesn't even matter because your skin tone may be lighter or darker than mine, so you may have to use a different one. So, Pro Longwear Concealer, a lighter shade. And I need to grab my cut crease brush. So one of the best brushes for me to use for cut crease is like a concealer brush, like one of those flat concealer brushes, but a tiny one. So this is, if you want like a specific, if you want this specific one, is the Morphe, Jesus Christ. It's the Morphe M421 brush, right? So take your time. Do not rush to cut your crease, especially if it's your first time. Take your concealer. And you're going to want to, and I like to cut mine a little high because I'm a little bit hooded. Some people do this where they just pull it down. I like to actually draw my line out first and then I'll pull a concealer down. So I'm going to cut out my new lid. I say my new lid because it'll be higher than my normal lid. So and I'm taking my time. It might be easier too if you have your mirror, hold it down and keep your head up. That way, especially if you're hooded like me, because my fold was going on my lid. So now I have to hold my head up so that it can stretch out. That makes sense? So, and I'm showing you exactly how I have my head. And you want your line as neat as possible. So if you can see, I have like a dip right there, which means my cut is going to go higher unless I want to put more black on there, which I don't. I can make my cut a little higher. And I'm going to now color in my new lid. As soon as I get it neat enough that I'm comfortable, yep, I'm gonna color in my new lid. Now if I look forward and I can see my lid, which I can, it's fine, but now I'm looking forward and you see how that's in my fold? Don't like that. So I'm gonna have to cut my inner a little bit higher. Which if you're okay with that, don't do this part, but I'm not. That's much better. When you're hooded, sometimes you can only do but so much. Like if I look down like this, it's gone. It's completely gone. So, and you can't cut, I mean, if you want to, you can cut your crease all the way up here. To me, it looks crazy. But so much I can do. Like it's still a little bit, but it is what it is when you got a hooded lid. So let me do the other side and I'll be right back. All right, creases are cut, right? So we're going to put a gold eyeshadow on our lid. I'm going to use my highlighter. So I use the same highlighter from the last video. All of my face that I use like as my base is in my last video if you want to know what I use. But, you know, the same highlighter, that gold one. And we're going to put that on our lid. Because that's kind of close to the color of the glitter. Let's put this black on our outer corner. So little teeny eyeshadow because we're just putting it in the outer V and blending it in a little bit. So I'm just going to place it and then blend it. For your glitter, you're going to need a brush. So I have a specific glitter brush. Let me show you. And I have my brushes all sitting out, like, because I'm not organized. It doesn't matter. So, 1 second. I have this silicone brush. This is from a brand called Pinky Rose. And it's really, really good for glitter, for placing glitter. So, the two important things you're going to need is a flat brush. And I like the silicone brush because, especially if you're using lash glue will ruin your brushes. So, if you have a silicone brush, you can easily peel the glue off. But if you're using this, you can use whatever brush you want because it won't mess up your brushes. So, you're going to want to place some of this on some kind of workstation. So, I have like I'll show you what I have. So, I'm going to show you what I have. I have this little makeup palette. You can see when I cut my crease, I use that concealer. And then I have this dollop of glitter primer. So, I'm going to take some of this glitter, just a scoop of it, and place it on my palette. I can't show you because I can't lift the palette up with the glitter on it. But just take a little scoop. I use the tip of your brush, your clean brush, if you have a silicone brush, make sure it's clean. If not, use something that's clean and scoop a little scoop out of your container. This glitter is from the Makeup Plug. Her glitters are really good. Her pigments are really good. Her brand is really good. And she's black owned. So you're going to take a little bit of your glitter adhesive, right? And you're going to put a thin layer all on your eye where you want your glitter to be. Now I want my glitter to be over most of my eye. Super thin layer, right? Then you're going to take your brush and press it on your glitter, right? So press it. Sorry, I can't show it to you. And then you're going to take your finger and knock off all the fallout. This way, you don't make a mess. And then you're going to press it on your eye. And you can see there's no big glitter mess or anything like that. If you need some more, do the press and tap and put some more on there. And I'm not having anything on my cheeks, like falling on my cheeks, falling on my face, ruining my face makeup, anything. It's just where I placed it. See? You have a bunch of glitter, no mess. Nothing on my clothes, nothing on anything. As long as you, because when you put the adhesive on your eye, you have a little bit of leftover on your brush. So if you press that side with the adhesive on there and you do that tap motion, you're not going to make a mess. Everything is stuck on the adhesive onto the brush. So you'll be fine. When you see like all the glitter falling and stuff like that, it doesn't have to be like that. Of course, you know, sometimes glitter will fall. And if glitter does fall, now, if you do it the way I did it, you won't have much fallout. But you take a spoolie. If you have a spoolie, I'm sure you have a spoolie sitting around. And I'll put a little bit of glitter. You see that little dot? Hopefully you can see that little dot right there. You can see my skin. Ugh. And then you're going to take your spoolie and knock it off. That's it. It's that simple. So, other side, I'll be right back. So, if you're using lash glue, the thinner the layer you put on your eye, the better. If you put it on too thick, when you press it onto your eye, some lash glue dries pretty quickly. So, you'll have the strings, and then sometimes the glue won't stick. So, put a very thin layer on, and you have to work really quickly. So, to me, it's just more efficient to just get the NYX. It's not expensive at all, but if you don't have it on hand, you got to be quick. And if you don't want to ruin any of your brushes, you can always use like a lip brush, like those disposable lip brushes, and press it on with that. So that'll work. For this pigment, I'm going to take this, actually let me clean my brush really quickly. So I'm going to take that pigment, right, from Kaima Cosmetics. The color is Dreamcatcher. I'm going to scoop a little bit out with that brush. And I think I bought another pigment from them. Actually, that I think you're supposed to mix with this. I'm not sure. Let's see. It's somewhere. Hold on one second. So I don't know if I want to use this pigment or not, because it's like blue and gold and a whole bunch of other colors. It's called Nirvana. It looks really pretty. We're going to do it. Why not? So I'm going to take that pigment and scoop a little bit out on my palette on top of the other pigment. I'm just going to mix them both together. Hopefully that's how I'm supposed to do it. It's like, this is a chunky pigment. So it's not like, you know, the thin pigments. It's chunky, but it's not a glitter. Then I'm going to take a drop of this mixing medium that you're supposed to use with it. One drop. And I'm going to use my eyeshadow brush for this. But since I'm just putting it in my inner corner, I'm going to use my cut crease brush actually. And I'm going to put that in my inner corner. See, it's like, it is gold, but it's also a lot of green, which is fine, I guess. Kind of looks like flakes a little bit. Pigment is super reflective. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, how it just shifts like colors. It's pretty. It's not as, when you put the mixing medium on top, it looks less like light reflective. It's definitely like color shifting, but as soon as you put that mixing medium on it, the light reflectiveness just goes away. Like the glitter, how it reflects the light, this pigment just doesn't do it as much as it did before I put the medium on it. But it's fine. It's still pretty. What's next? Yes, I remember. I'm just going to pop this shade because it reflects green and blue. I mean, green and gold from the Pat McGrath Mothership 5 palette. I had to use a different palette because there was nothing that would match that pigment in the other palette. So I'm going to pop that in my inner corner. Like kind of on the side of my nose a bit. Alright, I'm going to pop a lip on really quickly. And it's probably just going to be a nude lip. So I'll be right back. I popped my false lashes on. These are really pretty, by the way. These are Lily lashes in the style Roya. And what else did I do? I popped some Diamond Balm on my brow bone. And this is the completed look. It's really not that hard to put glitter on. I think the hardest thing about glitter is not making a mess. And that is kind of hard to do when you're working with glitter. But if you just use the technique, you put your adhesive on your eye, press into the glitter, knock it off. The knock it off is the important part, because if you knock it, you see how much glitter is not stuck to the adhesive. So you knock it off and then you press it onto your eye. You're not going to make too much of a mess, I promise. And then you're always going to be putting glitter on, because that's what I did when I first learned that technique. Someone taught that to me. I was wearing glitter all the time. I was putting it on people, wearing it, teaching people. I was so excited about it. So it's really not that hard when you see people wearing glitter. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you learned something, and subscribe to my channel. I never say that, but subscribe to my channel, because you can learn stuff, I guess, if you're learning something. If not, just do it because you can. Thank you. Bye.